Hi there, and welcome to the Indie Pop Girl, the podcast where you will find music chat, new releases, hidden gems, and nostalgic deep dives. I am back from my little break, and I have missed podcasting so much. The Indie Pop Girl is rested and feeling refreshed, and during that time, I've planned my future content, which I am so excited about. But for now, we are continuing with the Pop Girl series, and for this week, I'll be discussing a debut pop record from 2020, which was my lockdown hero, Sawayama by Rina Sawayama. Sawayama is the debut album by Japanese and British singer-songwriter Rina Sawayama. It was released on the 17th of April 2020 through Dirty Hit. It is the follow-up to her Rina EP, which was released back in 2017, and this was highly anticipated, and Rina did not disappoint. The record features production from Clarence Clarity, and Rina also collaborated with him with the songwriting. Rina also co-produced the majority of the record, with additional production from Danny L. Hall, Bram Inscore, amongst others. Despite the high number of production duties, the record still remains cohesive, with the themes explored and the variety of genres that are on display. The record is dripped in Y2K nostalgia, which is a period that I am not particularly fond of. However, there is something about Rina's approach with this record which is just so addictive. Rina explores her family and identity through the lyrics, and sonically, she just goes for it. She blends so many styles and genres with ease, such as pop, stadium arena rock, new metal inspired by the early 2000s, dance pop, new jack swing, R&B, and many tracks on the record are experimental in nature, but it still sounds modern and contemporary at the same time. It's a difficult record to describe, but at its heart, it's still a pop record. A pop record with so much substance and style. It is deeply personal and intelligent, but Rina also lets her hair down and has lots of fun, and she packs so much into the nearly 45 minutes of running time. When I look back during the weird period of the pandemic, most of it now is a bit of a blur for me. I have mentioned in other episodes that I was discovering and consuming so much music at a rapid pace, and it definitely kept me sane a lot of the time. Sawayama will always remind me of the year 2020, and it sits alongside After Hours by The Weeknd, Future Nostalgia by Dua Lipa, and What's Your Pleasure by Jessie Ware. All of these records got me through the early stages of the pandemic and being stuck at home. And when Sawayama was released, it created so much buzz online with people talking about it. And over on YouTube, so many people were reacting to it. And that is how I discovered the record. I think it was Fernstone's reaction to Sawayama was the moment I heard the record for the first time. And I was like, what the fuck is this? This is a pop record? I was locked in straight away, and I couldn't wait to listen to the record in my own time. And what an experience that was. Of course, on YouTube with Fern's reaction, I wasn't able to hear the songs in full, but I got the idea and he absolutely floored me. But the magic of Sawayama, and even now, 5 years later, it's a record that I am still finding something new, something that I hadn't heard before. And for a pop record to have this level of complexity within the production is quite rare. Sawayama deserves its place in the Pop Girls series because it's one of those records that redefines what pop can be. When it came out in 2020, it wasn't just a debut, it was a mission statement. Rina fused early 2000s pop hooks with nu metal guitars, slick R&B production, and even arena rock flourishes, creating a sound that felt both nostalgic and futuristic. What makes it truly pop girl material is the way she used those bold sounds to tell deeply personal stories about family, identity, belonging, and resilience. Like the best pop albums, Sawayama isn't afraid to be massive and dramatic, but it also has the heart and relatability that makes pop music connect on such a big scale. It showed that pop doesn't have to stay in one lane. It can embrace its influences from across genres and still feel like a glittering, powerful statement from a rising star. As I have mentioned in previous episodes, I will not be playing clips of the songs, so if you are curious, then please support the artists I cover by streaming, downloading, or buying physical copies. Thank you. I just want to give out a disclaimer before I start to discuss the tracks. I just want to put out a trigger warning as some of the content that I'm going to talk about might be triggering for listeners. Please take care while listening and feel free to skip if the themes may be distressing. Thank you. Track 1. Dynasty. What a way to open a debut record. Dynasty instantly sets the tone for who Rina is as an artist. Ambitious, theatrical, and fearless in blending genres. You can feel from that dramatic intro that something is building, but what comes next is so unexpected. I was not prepared for a full-on rock anthem, but it works so well with the themes Rina explores here: family legacy, identity, and the weight of inherited pain. Lyrically, it's powerful. She sings about generational trauma and her father's infidelity, confronting the past while also trying to break free from it. The chorus, I'm a dynasty, the pain in my vein is hereditary, is heartbreaking. Growing up with wealth from Rina's father's side doesn't always mean a happy and stable upbringing. It often comes with pain and trauma, which Rina describes in the song. I read that Rina experienced depression, and in her teenage years she was self-harming and had eating disorders. I suspect this was the result of her father's infidelity, and no amount of money or wealth can make this better. It's just a facade. And to open up the album in this way, in its rawest form for a pop album, is such a bold statement. The aggression with the instrumental absolutely works here. It's like Rina is shaking off the demons and finally breaking free of the trauma. I love how Rina's vocals soar in the instrumental break. She almost duets with the guitar solo, harmonising in a way that feels triumphant after so much tension. The production is huge. It's clean, full of life, with those 80s style synths layered over heavy drums and distorted guitars. It's this fearless collision of pop polish and rock drama that makes Rina so special. When she's in this lane, She absolutely excels. Track 2, Excess. Another sharp change in direction, and it's brilliant. This time, Rina channels the early 2000s pop sound, crisp beats, acoustic guitars, and sugary vocals, but twists it with a jarring, heavy rock riff that crashes in and out of the track. It's such a clever production choice. That sudden shift mirrors the tension between luxury and excess that the song's about. Now, I'll be honest, the early 2000s pop era isn't my favourite period of music, but there's something about Rina's debut that's just so addictive. I think it's because she doesn't simply copy that style, she reimagines it. She sprinkles in those nostalgic Y2K pop elements, but anchors them in modern, forward thinking production that keeps everything feeling fresh rather than dated. It's familiar, yet completely revitalised. I'm so impressed by how seamlessly Rina blends these styles. You'd think that a Britney-esque verse wouldn't sit comfortably next to a metal-inspired breakdown, but somehow she makes it work. And not just work, but shine. It's playful and ironic and bold all at once. Lyrically, Excess takes aim at materialism and the obsession with wanting just a little bit more. It's pop commentary done right, catchy and fun on the surface, but layered with sharp social critique underneath. The production stays vibrant and unpredictable, keeping you on your toes right up to the final chorus. Track 3, STFU. This was a track that completely sold me during Fernstone's reaction on YouTube. Whenever I'm struggling or having a bad day, this is my go-to. It instantly lifts my mood. It's such a badass song, and I love that Rina doesn't hold back for a second. She throws absolutely everything into it, and the result is chaotic in the best possible way. From the moment she says, "Let's go" at the intro, you just know you're about to be taken on a wild ride. Her vocals are on fire here, especially as the track progresses and becomes more unhinged. She balances aggression and control so well. One moment she's almost whispering through gritted teeth. The next she's belting like she's exercising frustration in real time. The energy is so cathartic. I think we all know someone we could dedicate this song to, and Rina completely speaks for us all, especially with the line, "Have you ever thought about taping your big mouth shut?" I also get major poppy vibes from this track, especially her I Disagree era. That same mix of sugary pop hooks clashing with heavy industrial guitars and glitchy production. Both artists use contrast so cleverly. They take sounds that shouldn't work together and make them feel addictive and fresh. It's that shared sense of rebellion through genre blending that makes STFU feel so electric. I also love the sugary juxtaposition she creates with the post-chorus, that cute poppy section that suddenly cuts back to heaviness and distortion. It's like she's poking fun at expectations while showing just how versatile she can be. And that outro is just insane. The way everything unravels in this controlled chaos feels like Rina letting all her pent-up emotion explode through sound. Shut the Fuck Up is loud, unapologetic, and impossible to ignore. Exactly what a moment of pure release should sound like. Track 4, Comme des Garçons, in brackets, like the boys. On first listen, this track can feel a little jarring after the chaos of STFU, but trust Rina, she knows exactly what she's doing. It's a complete switch up in sound and attitude. Gone are the distorted guitars and unfiltered rage. In their place comes this slick, confident, strut-worthy groove. This is the catwalk moment of the album. Bold, stylish, and totally in control. It's got that unapologetic, empowered energy that makes you feel like you can take on the world. The bass line is hypnotic, the beat is icy and precise, and Rina oozes confidence with every vocal. You can tell this song was made to soundtrack confidence, whether you're on a runway, a dance floor, or just dancing around your kitchen pretending to be in a fashion campaign. Lyrically, Rina plays with gender and power dynamics, challenging the idea that confidence is something masculine. The line, like the boys, is almost ironic. She's reclaiming that space and showing that femininity can just be as dominant, if not more so. I love the line, "Don't fuck with me, ho, take you down like judo." It's just so badass and empowering. Anyone that dares to cross Rina, she will fight back and take them down. It just adds to the catwalk confidence that this track oozes. I love the production. It's sleek and minimal, yet packed with personality. The pulsing synths, that subtle bounce, and the way her vocal delivery slides between playful and commanding just makes it so effortless. After the intensity of the opening 3 tracks, Comme des Garçons is the perfect moment to reset, breathe and walk tall. Track 5, Akasaka Sad. Another complete change in sonic direction. You think that a record this varied would end up feeling messy and all over the place. And to a certain extent it is, but that's part of its magic. What's so impressive is how Rina and Clarence Clarity managed to keep everything feeling tight and cohesive despite the chaos. The production is wild, glitchy, harsh and full of unexpected turns, yet it somehow never loses its pop sensibility. This track leans into the more experimental side of the album with its unpredictable structure and distorted beats. It's not an easy listen the first time around. It took me a few plays to really appreciate it, but once it clicks, it's impossible not to be drawn in. Rina's vocals absolutely carry the track. She moves effortlessly between English and Japanese, bringing an emotional intensity that cuts through the abrasive production. Rina references her mother and father in the chorus, which could link to track 1 Dynasty. The "So I Suffer" line could also reference Rina's depression and battles with self-harm and eating disorders. Lyrically, there's also a sense of disconnection and homesickness running through Akasaka Sad. That idea of feeling caught between worlds, between cultures and between versions of yourself. It's heavy stuff wrapped in this glitchy, restless energy. And I just have to mention those whoop whoop sound effects in the production. They get me every time. It's such a strange but joyful little touch, and it always makes my husband and I laugh. It's moments like that that remind you how much personality and playfulness Rina injects into even her most experimental songs. Track 6, Paradising. The best way I can describe this track is in 2 words: computer game. From the very first seconds, it Feels like you've been dropped into a chaotic Y2K video game soundtrack, bursting with colour, energy, and that unmistakable late 90s, early 2000s spirit. They absolutely nailed the concept here. Rina reflects on her teenage years in London, painting vivid little snapshots of MSN Messenger, youthful rebellion, and that tug of war between independence and parental worry. I love that cheeky lyric about reassuring her mum that she's fine, even while hacking into her messages. It's witty and nostalgic and full of character, the kind of storytelling that makes Rina's songwriting so distinctive. The production is pure fun, arcade style synths and bouncy rhythms, and vocal effects that feel straight out of a retro console. It's also hyperactive, but in the best way possible. And then, just when you think that you've got the track figured out, the sax solo appears. Completely unexpected, yet it fits perfectly within Rina's world of playful chaos. What I love most is how Paradising captures Rina's ability to blend sincerity with total absurdity. She can be reflective and emotional, but she always delivers it with a wink and a burst of personality. You could never say that this record is boring or lacks flavour. It just keeps serving surprise after surprise, and Paradising is one of the most joyful moments. Track 7, Love Me For Me. One of my absolute favourites from the record. This track just radiates confidence and self-acceptance. It's pure feel-good pop from start to finish. The production instantly gives me that late 80s to early 90s vibe, with touches of New Jack Swing, glittering synths, and that punchy rhythm that just makes you want to move. The line, "If you can't love yourself, how are you going to love somebody else?" is a nod to RuPaul's Drag Race. Rina has put her own spin on the quote, but the ability to love yourself and having that compassion is difficult, especially with Rina's trauma growing up. This track feels the light at the end of the tunnel, that she is being kind to herself and having that acceptance to move on and be at peace. I love how Rina blends that retro sound with her modern pop sensibility. It never feels like a throwback for the sake of nostalgia. Instead, it feels like she's celebrating the best parts of that era while making it sound fresh and current. The guitars on this track are brilliant too. Rina really leans into them across the album, but here they shimmer and groove in all the right places. This is my kind of pop, vibrant, catchy, full of life and heart. Her vocals are so warm and charismatic, and the message hits home, learning to love yourself for who you are. It's empowering without being preachy, and I'm sure so many people who have listened to this record will relate to that sentiment. And that guitar solo, absolute fire. It bursts in with so much energy and adds another layer of excitement right when you think the song couldn't get any better. Once again, Rina keeps things interesting. She's always switching it up, and that's what makes this record so endlessly engaging. Track 8, Bad Friend. Talking about being relatable, I think a lot of people will see themselves in this track, myself included. Bad Friend is one of those songs that really hits a nerve because it's about something so human. Losing touch, drifting apart, or simply not being there when someone needed you. I love that Rina isn't afraid to explore the uncomfortable parts of herself on this record. She covers so many themes: identity, family, confidence, and here she turns that honesty inward. Rina describes her story through the lyrics beautifully. Verse 1 references the karaoke room that was used in the film Lost in Translation. Rina sings, "We ran through the bright Tokyo lights, nothing to lose. Summer of 2012 burnt in my mind. Hot, crazy and drunk, 5 in a room, singing our hearts out to Carly, sweat in our eyes." The production is gorgeous yet subtle. I adore the vocal modification on the chorus, especially the first one where everything feels stripped back and intimate. I'm not sure if it's a vocoder or a layered effect, but it just works. I'm such a sucker for that sound. It gives the track this fragile, melancholic quality, almost like her voice is fading into a memory. And then that gospel choir comes in during the bridge. Again, totally unexpected, but it elevates the emotion to a whole new level. It's such a clever choice because it adds this sense of redemption and release, like Rina's acknowledging her mistakes but also forgiving herself. It's a reflective, deeply human track that reminds us we've all been a bad friend at some point. That honesty is what makes Rina's songwriting so powerful. She finds beauty even in guilt and imperfection. Track 9, Fuck This World Interlude. Even though this is technically an interlude, I describe Fuck This World as a proper track. It doesn't feel like filler at all. It's short, sharp and straight to the point. When this record came out, it felt fitting for the world we were living in, but listening again now, 5 years later, it still rings painfully true. Things have completely gone to shit in so many ways, and that frustration is exactly what Rina captures here. What I love is how direct she is. No sugarcoating, no poetic disguise, just pure honesty. The tone is wary but defiant, like she's looking at the chaos around her and saying what we're all thinking. There's a simplicity to it that hits harder than a fully fleshed out pop song ever could. It's a brief moment but a powerful one. Between the glossy production of Bad Friend and the emotional punch of the next track, Fuck This World acts like a reset, a deep breath of anger and exhaustion before the record builds back up again. I'm totally on board with the message here, and sometimes you just need to say it how it is. Track 10, Who's Gonna Save You Now? Another one of my absolute favourites. Rina switches things up again here, diving headfirst into full-on arena rock, and she completely owns it. From the opening crowd noise, you can feel the energy of a live show. The production is so clever. Those cheering audience sounds and the huge echoing drums make it feel like you're standing in the middle of a stadium watching Rina tear it up on stage. Her vocal performance is easily my favourite on the whole record. The way she builds throughout the song is masterful, starting with control and power, then gradually unleashing more emotion until she's absolutely belting by the end. You can tell she's giving everything, and it's such a rush to listen to. The guitars are insane, loud, crunchy, and packed with attitude. It's that perfect blend of theatrical and raw, and it suits her so well. I'd honestly love to hear Rina lean further into this rock direction in the future because she completely shines in this style. If you haven't already, check out her cover of Enter Sandman. It's incredible and proof that she can take a metal classic and make it totally her own. What's so impressive is how she makes this massive stadium ready sound still feel personal. Beneath all the volume and confidence, there's emotion. It's that mix of power and vulnerability that makes Who's Gonna Save You Now such a standout moment. Track 11, Tokyo Love Hotel. If I'm being honest, this is probably my least favourite track on the record, but that doesn't mean it's bad. It's still a solid song, and there's plenty to appreciate here. I really like the sparkly 80s style synths and that dreamy, shimmering production. It actually reminds me a lot of Carly Rae Jepsen, which makes sense since Rina name checks her in Bad Friend. There's that same glossy pop sheen and emotional undercurrent running through it. For me, it's just a little more repetitive than some of the other songs, and it doesn't quite hit as hard in comparison to the massive highs on the record. But I still love Rina's vocal performance here. It's soft, elegant, and beautifully controlled. The song flows nicely in the context of the album, giving you a bit of a breather before things ramp up again. And that's okay. Every album has tracks that connect differently with each listener. I always want to be honest in my episodes, and for me, Tokyo Love Hotel is one that I don't usually pick out on its own, but I still enjoy when listening to the record from start to finish. There are still moments of magic within it, just a slightly gentler spark compared to the fireworks elsewhere. Track 12, Chosen Family. Another one of my absolute favourites. I love the sentiment and the message of this song. It's just so beautiful. Having this tender emotional moment near the end of the record really hits hard. And I'm sure I'm not alone when I say this one has made me emotional more than once. Rina pours so much heart into Chosen Family. You can tell she's a kind and empathetic soul from the way she writes. Every word feels genuine and full of compassion. The production is more stripped back compared to the rest of the record, which lets the lyrics and the vocals truly shine. It's simple but powerful, and that's what makes it so moving. When that guitar gently kicks in, it lifts the whole track in such an uplifting way. It feels like a hug in musical form. The message is universal. Your chosen family can be anyone who makes you feel safe, loved, and seen. That idea has brought so much comfort to people, especially within the LGBTQ plus community, and it's easy to understand why. There's warmth and acceptance in every line. It's no wonder Chosen Family touched Elton John so deeply that he asked Rina to collaborate on a duet version for the Sawayama Deluxe Edition. Hearing them sing it together just amplifies that sense of connection and shared humanity the song embodies. Track 13, Snakeskin. What a way to close out the record. Snakeskin is dark, brooding, and wildly experimental. The kind of track that makes you sit back and think, what did I just hear? That beat drop is honestly one of the best I have ever heard in a pop record. It hits like the boss level in a computer game. Huge, cinematic, and full of tension, but still wrapped in that unmistakable Rina pop sheen. It's completely bonkers in the best way possible. There's a grandness to it, like the whole album has been leading up to this theatrical, slightly menacing finale. The way the track builds is so clever. It feels confident and powerful, but also mysterious and slightly unsettling. It's Rina saying, I'm not done surprising you yet. Lyrically and sonically, she ends on an ominous note, exploring the idea of shedding skin, transformation, rebirth, and leaving behind what no longer serves you. It's a bold and fitting conclusion for such a fearless debut. Snakeskin embodies everything that makes Sawayama special. It's bold, creative, daring and utterly unpredictable. This record was my lockdown hero back in 2020. I honestly couldn't tell you how many times I played it, but even now I still discover new details with every listen. And that's the mark of a truly great album, one that keeps revealing more of itself over time. Sawayama was met with universal acclaim when it dropped in 2020, earning an impressive 89 on Metacritic and praise from critics across Pitchfork, The Line of Best Fit, and more. Elton John even called it the strongest album of the year. Reviewers celebrated Rina's fearless blend of genres, pop, rock, metal and R&B, and her honest exploration of identity, family and belonging. The record also sparked wider conversations when it was initially deemed ineligible for British Music Awards, leading to a change in industry rules and redefining what it means to be a British artist. Beyond critical praise, Sawayama connected deeply with listeners for its emotional honesty and creativity, a bold, genre-smashing debut that still feels just as fresh and relevant 5 years later. Listening back to this record 5 years on, it still feels bold, exciting, and completely ahead of its time. Rina managed to blend so many genres, from metal and rock to glossy pop and heartfelt ballads, and somehow make it all sound cohesive, confident, and uniquely her. For me, this album will always hold a special place. It was my lockdown hero, and it's one of those records that I keep coming back to and finding something new every time. Rina's creativity, honesty and fearlessness as an artist just shine through. She's not afraid to be experimental, to be emotional and to be real, and that's why Sawayama still resonates so deeply today. It's no surprise the album received so much critical acclaim and sparked real change in the industry, but beyond all that, it connected with people on a human level, and that's the mark of something truly special. If you've never heard Sawayama all the way through, go and give it a spin. It's a journey. And if you already love it, hopefully this episode helped you appreciate it even more. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Please follow me on Instagram, Facebook and Threads at The Indie Pop Girl. If you've enjoyed this episode, I'd love it if you could follow and share, as it helps other music lovers to find the show. I'm also on YouTube. You can find me at The Indie Pop Girl Podcast, and I'll be grateful if you could like and subscribe, as I'm creating content, shorts and posting teasers for upcoming episodes. You can also find me on TikTok at The Indie Pop Girl Podcast if you want to give me a follow over there. There is a public Spotify playlist available, and I've added some of my favourite tracks from the artists and records covered on the podcast. This will be updated as the episodes drop, so if you are curious with any of the artists and albums that I have covered, please give it a listen, and who knows, you might find a new discovery. You can find me on Spotify at The Indie Pop Girl, and the playlist is called Favourite Tracks from Podcast Episodes. I'll be back very soon with the final instalment in the Pop Girl series, and I'll be talking about a debut record from 2012 which is so iconic and it changed the pop landscape forever. A record from one of my favourite artists who I've already covered on the podcast. Any guesses? I hope you can join me. Until then, I'm Rachel, the Indie Pop Girl. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.